Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mark Lambert from the thetas-pendulum Google group. I'm partners with Anthony Marino, and I just want to spend a couple of minutes showing some of the indicator setups that I've been using over probably the last several years. I mean, for as long as I've known them. Basically, the way I use these kind of gives you a leading indicator of when a market is going to probably bottom and make a pivot intraday. I'm going to give a quick explanation on some of these indicators. This right here is basically the advances versus the decliners, which is plotted as candlesticks. You can read this just as you would read a stock chart or a chart of the futures, ESs, YMs, whatever it is that you trade. You're basically looking for higher highs and higher lows and vice versa, and pivot points and so on. This right here would be, these advances and decliners, the way I have this set up, is basically using the advances and decliners that are being plotted on the New York Stock Exchange. Also, this tick chart is also being plotted using the information off the New York Stock Exchange. What a tick chart is basically, it's a totality of all the stocks that are trading up and down by 1 penny on the New York Stock Exchange. If there are more stocks that are ticking up 1 penny than there are stocks ticking down 1 penny, you can see that the candlesticks are starting to go up above this zero line that I have set right here. And you can use this also as trends too. You can see that the market had been moving down all morning. Basically, take this here. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to flip it around just so you can kind of see the trend that I'm looking at right here. This morning, stocks have been moving down. And with that, you can see we finally came to a bottom this morning, right at around 11 o'clock right here on the ticks. And at that point in time, at 11 o'clock, you can see that the market actually continued down a little bit further, up until right around the 11:30 level right here, where we ended up making a double bottom on the advances and decliners. But by the time that this double bottom here happened at around 11:30 this morning, you can see that the trend had switched to start moving back up on the ticks. This is the earliest signals that one can even think of plotting using some type of indicator. I mean, this is the actual goings-on that's happening at the New York Stock Exchange. So when it doesn't take very long when you start following these intraday. They give you a lot of really good signals. You want to watch for a pivot point in this to happen. And usually when you start to see a pivot point in these ticks start to happen, it's usually not long afterwards that you'll see the market starts to adhere to it. Basically, it's starting to build a trend from the smallest structure there is. You can see the flip over that's actually happening in the New York Stock Exchange. These are the fibs I've been basically running since this morning. I've only taken one trade, made 4 points on it, just closed it off a little while ago. Really didn't trade today all that much except for that one trade, and that's because we had our first real snowstorm here in New England last evening, so I had to dig out my driveway. It's a big driveway, so it takes me a while. But anyways, you can see that the market bottomed out on the 81% fib this morning, this afternoon, and you can see that when you take a look at this, the pivot point actually happened at 11 o'clock, and you started to see that things were starting to trend up with these ticks kept ticking higher. And you can't look at just one tick at a time, because sometimes a big block of trades comes in all at the same time, and you'll see like a big spike up. But that spike doesn't matter. You've got to look at this as an aggregation. You've got to look at all of them forming together. Which way is the trend moving in these? And that'll usually get you in ahead of time. You'll see the trend change in here first. Then finally you'll see it start to change in here, and then when you see both of these, how can I look? One way that I would look at this is that you can see that the trend actually started to change here first. So when you start to see that these are moving up, as an average, are moving up. I guess you could probably put a moving average on this too if you wanted to, but I really don't myself. But if you start to see these start to move up, at this point in time, you want to start looking to form a secondary on the advances and decliners. And when you finally have a strong secondary on the advances and decliners, that's when you can actually step in and see where am I in the fibs right now. And you're looking, you're coming right down to a fib. You have these right here have been foretelling for probably the previous 20-25 minutes that, hey, a trend change is about to happen. Then at that same time, now you default to this side, you're looking at these, you're looking for like some type of a pivot candle, double bottom or something like that to happen, and then bang, finally at that point in time, you see the market just hit the 81% and just took off like a rocket. Basically, I took one trade right now. It's was at 13.05 and a quarter. I got out at 13.09 and a quarter. I was looking at the resistance of this previous top, and that's the only trade I'm going to do today. 4 points, that's okay. You don't have to trade 50 trades a day. You only have to do 1 or 2. But basically, this is how I use the indicator setup. These are the fastest indicators you can actually get. They actually get ahead of the market. You'll see the market start to build up pressure internally before it finally starts to show its hand on the advances and decliners. And by the time that you see these advances and decliners starting to pivot, that's when you'll see the ESs take off like a rocket. That's basically how I use them. It's very simple. At first, they kind of they do throw you off a little bit. I mean, it took me a little while to get used to them, but you know, you just got to look at this in the same way. It's like if I were to continue trading right now, I would be looking at this as just like I would look at like a stock chart. Okay, we're starting to break a trend line here. You know, we're starting to move down in this direction. So, okay, are we topping off? Either way, this would be a real good alert that it's time for you to get out of the market. If you were long, you should be out by now. That's the way I would look at them. But anyways, that's how I use the indicators. I hope you find them useful. And they are the fastest indicators I've ever found. I mean, unless somebody's actually sitting there at the NYSE or one of the stock exchanges and watching the actual order flow coming in. I mean, this is about as close to that as you can get is by using these types of indicators. I also used to plot the up volume and down volume, but you know something? For intraday trades, I really don't see that much weight in the up volume and down volume. Because a lot of times you'll see the volumes moving down while the market is still moving up. Over time, if you're looking at trades that last over a few days, then yes, that does start to play an importance. But you don't really need to plot that as a chart. I think you can just put those ratios into like an Excel spreadsheet, and from there you'll get a good indication of where the top of the bottom may come in. So anyways, that's the way I'm looking at it. And I hope you find these indicators useful, and Godspeed to everybody, and have a great weekend.